Hi, this is Jamie Boggs with Burning River Bushcraft. Today we are going to do a gear review of the equipment that I took on the Advanced Survival class at Campcraft Outdoors. Now keep in mind, I am at the Advanced Survival class at Campcraft Outdoors. This is day 4. So if I'm starting to wander off and not make sense, keep in mind I'm slightly fatigued here. But this is it. This was our gear. This is what we were limited to. I carried everything in a canvas, a wax, a haversack, and I also had an axe sleeve. So this was invaluable when I was collecting any type of material. You know, anything you see when you're in a situation like this with limited gear is useful. So I know I found wild onions, I found a glove, I found string, I found bank line, I found quite a few items, and it all just kind of went in here constantly. So this was my go-to carry system for everything I needed. I did wear a shamag. First night it was a scarf, second night it was a pillow. And then it got turned strictly into filtering my 32-ounce water bottle, which you don't see here. Here's the cup, but my water bottle's just boiled, and it's cooling right now. But you know, many purposes. This would have been my only form of a Band-Aid if I would have had an accident. Also invaluable is leather gloves. I brought insulated leather gloves, 100% leather, exterior. Constantly are around the fire, if you're lucky enough to get a fire. But you're always jockeying rocks or logs, trying to get the optimum burn going on. This, I would have been really in bad shape without this. I kept them by my side at night. If a log or something popped out, I'd slip my gloves on, grab it burning, and throw it right back in again. Besides that, collecting all the cedar and a lot of the smalls and stuff, they were kind of sharp. So I had my gloves on for most of that stuff to try to protect my hands. In a pinch also, I would start cutting the back of these gloves out. If I didn't find that glove to make a shepherd sling, this would have been an option for me. We were also allowed to bring hog snares. There's quite a few wild hogs running the area, so this was like a last minute thing that Jason said, hey, if you get hog snares, bring them. Now these were borrowed from my buddy Mike, so I thank him for that. I have 6 snares with me. Now I did not set them for hogs, I set them for raccoons. I didn't see any hogs. Supposedly they have state feeders up at the top of the hill. They're trying to draw the hogs into one area, then trap them, because I guess they're primarily nocturnal. So down in my area, I didn't have any hogs. This is my Trayer fire tool. I showed you that when I was making the bow. This was primarily brought as my bearing block. Now we weren't allowed to use this initially on your first bow drill, but once you went off to camp, you were allowed to take it with you. He gave us the ability to use this with a penalty at the classroom. Bank line. We had 10 feet of cordage. I chose bank line. I've used it all up. This is found bank line basically now. 10 foot is not much. You know, of course you can unwind it, but that's pretty darn time consuming. I had a lanyard on my knife and a lanyard on my axe, bright orange for just to help me identify it. The lanyard on my knife was enough cordage as I pulled the inner strands out to set my shelter up. So that was kind of a way to get a little bit of extra cordage in here. But bank line served me very well. My primary purpose for the bank line over the paracord was for a bow drill. That's what I wanted to go with. So I would put up with not having, you know, if I had 10 feet, 10 times 7, so I'd have 70 feet of small cordage, but the bow drill was critical, so I brought the best cordage for that application. Not in the picture is my drum liners. I have 4 55-gallon drum liners. 2 of them made my shelter. The other one I used for a browse bed, and I was lucky enough to find a Tyvek tarp out here, a piece of Tyvek. It was already taped up. It must have been from one of the other classes. And I was able to stuff that with weeds in addition to my 55-gallon drum liner. And then I also wove a grass mat as part of the deliverable using my bank line and natural cordage that I had to make. The 4th drum liner I really haven't used yet. Initially I put my bird's nest and I made feather sticks. I kept all that dry inside that garbage bag. It's still sitting over there. I would use it as a moisture barrier when I would sit next to the fire or sit in a different spot that wasn't covered. But at this point I'm about as dirty as you can get. So I don't think it's going to help me much unless it rains tonight. It's supposed to rain. This is the last night of class. If it rains, that drum liner is going to be invaluable. He gave us a stainless steel container. Was initially on the list, no cup. So I brought my 32-ounce Pathfinder water bottle. We had to make char and for a deliverable up at the classroom. When we did that, he gave us our cup back. So the cup was great. The bottle was absolutely invaluable. I think I showed on video, the water was kind of shallow, so I was able to take the cup and scoop it out and fill my water bottle that way. I didn't drink out of the cup. Another thing, I did make my onion soup the first night in this. I did forget about that. A lot of times too, I would scoop coals and rearrange them in the fire using my cup. But it's been great. I'm very thankful for this. He did give us a multi-tool. The multi-tool I normally carry, this is an original super tool, a Leatherman super tool, not the newest model. So all the blades lock, but you have to open a second blade to unlock it. So they kind of change this one up a little bit. But I've had this for years. It does have a saw. It does have 2 knife blades, a smooth blade and a serrated blade. I did use the saw. I never used the pliers, and I used both blades actually. The serrated actually came in very handy when I was making my shepherd sling. It just seemed to rip through the threads real easy. It worked well for me. And I also used the awl on this for awling hole in the tub when I was stretching my garbage bag liner or my drum liner around the exterior of it. So this was handy. Lately I have not been using my multi-tool as much. I've kind of went to a Swiss Army knife instead just to try that out. It's a lot lighter. Other than the pliers, which I didn't use, the standard Swiss Army knife that I always carry has a saw on it, and it has a blade and it has an awl. So I'm kind of on the fence with this. It's handy to have, especially wire cutters. I did find a whole ton of wire here. Just for my application, I didn't need it. So this is a pass. This wasn't absolutely vital. If I didn't have this, I could get by, but I'm thankful for it. We could take a saw with us. So this is a 24-inch bow saw. I'm sorry, 24-inch buck saw. It breaks down and fits into this case. So the saw is the same length as my axe. This is made by Pole and Paddle. I've had this for several years. It's served me well. I really like it. I did switch the blade out to a Baco fine tooth blade, and it seems to eat this cedar up like nothing. The one thing about this saw, there were several times where I was on the move and had the opportunity to make a cut or something, and the assembly time on this is not bad, but a lot of times I just pulled my axe out and got it done. I've got wing nuts on the top. Okay, then this comes off. This folds around to protect the blade. Here's my cross piece. And then the rod slips in there. So if any part of this fails except the saw blade, if the rod breaks or the rods strip their threads or anything happens to that, or if I lose it, I can just use cordage and use a windlass like a traditional buck saw. You know, something like this would not be that hard to manufacture in the woods. I wouldn't want to do it. That's one of the advantages to a wooden saw, is that, you know, if you have breakage, you can just make the one piece you're missing. If you had like a metal takedown saw or something, and you had an issue with it, you could always take the blade out and manufacture a completely new blade, new saw. But with this one, it would save me a little bit of time. But the speed putting it up back together, I mean, you see, it didn't take me that long. And you just turn the wing nuts until it's taut. But when you're dog tired and you can saw or axe it, and your saw's disassembled, a lot of times you're just going to reach for the axe because it's quicker. The saw is a safer tool in my opinion, but I really like this one. Again, it's the same length as my axe. If I switched axes, I'd probably get a bigger saw. But this one served me very well. Okay, my axe. This is a SA Wetterling's Fine Forest Axe. Absolutely love it. Got two of them. I did put a leather overstrike guard on it, and I needed it. I've got a couple real big dings in here. That was for me trying to split logs that are like, you know, more than I can reach around with my arms. But I would just try to nick at corners of them, and it did work. But a lot of times, even though I struck all the way through, the top of my axe would hit the handle of my axe would hit the log itself. But it's a great axe. You can see when I was doing that bow how well it works for fine work. You know, a big felling axe, I don't know if I can use one the same way as I can use this, because I chop down trees, yes, but I do a lot of crafting also. That's why I'm kind of happy with this. Like I said, I've started to lose my edge on this. I wish I would have had a stone with me. Things got too bad too quick to get back to this drop. I tried and I couldn't regain my edge. It might have helped a little bit, but neither tool is bad enough where I can just go pull a rock out of the creek and start, you know, stoning it down. You saw it was taking nice thin shavings off. I mean, that's paper thin, but I had to work the tool a little harder than if this was as sharp as I prefer to carry it. Also, I did the marks up the back. Dave Canterbury demonstrated that on the video. I like that for setting up my grass mat loom when I wove my mat. It let me decide my depth. You know, it was like 6 inches when I started, I believe, 5 to 6 inches. Compressed, it sure ain't that now. But it also let me set up the distance. So I'm 100% happy with my axe, love it. The knife I chose to carry, this is, now it's called the Lieutenant Colonel. Campcraft Outdoor sells this. This is made by Brad Holman at Rocky Woodland Forge. It's a 5-inch blade, high carbon steel. Good knife, real happy with it. It's about the right size. The 5-inch blade is about ideal. You know, it's not too long, it's not too short. This is a 1/8 inch steel. When we originally started this, this was the Adventure Guide School. I believe we've changed the names now, but the group of us that's all gone through this advanced class together. and this knife was included in the school. So this was kind of like a gift from Jason for going to school, going through all the classes with the guide school. So everybody's got one. Everybody from our group, everybody got different handles, I believe. But mine's just simple brown. But the knife worked great. Happy I had it with me. I used it a ton. It's held up for, most all of the classes here. I did carry different knives for different classes, depending on exactly what we were doing. But this is a great one tool option. But I'm thankful I had more than just the one tool. Not included in this picture, late on our first night, Jason stopped by and gave us a headlamp and a wool blanket. That was kind of a bonus. Thank God I had it. But it was just an LED headlamp and then like a twin size wool blanket or whatever. But this is what I brought, and unless lightning strikes me dead or I asphyxiate in my sleep, I'm going to make it through advanced class, and this is the gear that helped me do it.